As with any other platform, it's tough to quantify the best PS4 games. One man's masterpiece is another man's clunker. Even so, it's possible to make some broad recommendations based on the types of games that players generally enjoy. For action-adventure games, it's hard to beat God of War 2018, which casts players as Greek demigod Kratos on an exciting quest through the mystical Norse lands. The best PS4 games you can buy today. Number 1. Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Godless barbarians.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla is the latest entry in Ubisoft's long-running action stealth series, and it's another solid one. This time, you'll take control of Ivor, a Viking warrior in medieval England who must establish a new home for his clan.
Blood. Let's give them a taste, brothers.
You'll explore a variety of warring kingdoms, assassinate key targets, do battle against dangerous Saxons, and even participate in Viking rap battles known as flighting. While Assassin's Creed Valhalla looks and plays wonderfully on the PS4, your copy will also entitle you to a PS5 version with better lighting, richer HDR colors, and a smoother frame rate. Your save data will carry over too, but be warned that transferring achievements can be a little wonky. Number 2. Death Stranding. Death Stranding was undoubtedly one of the weirder games to come out in 2019, but it's also one of the best PS4 games, particularly if you enjoy Hideo Kojima's unique brand of unhinged futurism.
Keep me tied to everything.
The world's still broken. Same as before.
In the game, you take control of Sam Bridges, who delivers supplies to survivors on a post-apocalyptic Earth. The titular Death Stranding unleashed a race of extra-dimensional creatures, which raise some exceedingly customization existential questions about life, death, and the nature of power in the post-apocalypse.
But you gotta keep moving.
One of the interesting things about Death Stranding is that the gameplay is extremely understated. A lot of it is simply traveling from one place to another and creating infrastructure to make your trips easier. How well your deliveries go will influence how you can build up to Sam's abilities, which can help you carry more items and build your reputation with non-player characters. Number 3. Devil May Cry 5.
I've seen it with my own eyes! Red Grave is completely taken over!
Let us pray for mercy. This is a trial from the heavens above.
11 years after Devil May Cry 4 hit shelves, Capcom has finally released a sequel worth waiting for. Devil May Cry 5 is a confident, stylish action game that's satisfying for long-term fans and welcoming to newcomers. Playing as supernatural warriors Dante, Nero, and V, you'll fight enormous, grotesque foes with a gorgeous combination of gunplay, swordplay, and platforming. It can be a challenging game, but combat is its own reward once you find your rhythm. The gameplay is particularly satisfying since as you rack up higher combos, the soundtrack will change and become more elaborate to reflect your success. Devil May Cry 5 is a captivating, rewarding experience and well worth a look if you've ever had an affinity for the series. And if you're a newcomer, you can catch up with earlier titles in the Devil May Cry HD collection, also on PS4. Number 4. Dreams. Little Big Planet is great, but what if you could make your own entire games instead of just platformer levels? That's the idea behind Media Molecule's Dreams, a robust creation suite that lets you craft characters, structures, pieces of music, short films, and even full-length games. While Dreams is arguably more of a development tool than a full-blown game, there's still plenty of fun to be had crafting the surreal gaming experiences you've always wanted for yourself. The game's rich editing tools are complemented by handy tutorials, whether you're looking to make a simple platformer or a deep multiplayer role-playing game. And if you'd rather just play, Dream serves up a non-stop buffet of fresh community experiences, many of which are curated by Media Molecule itself. As with any user-generated content, there's more chaff than wheat, but the Media Molecule team does a good job highlighting the interesting stuff. Number 5. Ghost of Tsushima.
Wait. Good man. Chill.
The pitch for Ghost of Tsushima makes it sound like an Assassin's Creed game. It's an open-world action stealth game with a story based on real-world history. you take control of Jin Sakai, a samurai who fights against the Mongols during their 13th century invasion of Japan. Ghost of Tsushima distinguishes itself from similar open-world adventures, though, in its incredible sword fighting. The combat in the game is simply superlative, with lots of techniques to employ, gadgets to use, and strategies to learn. Admittedly, the game can drag a bit toward the middle, as it leans hard into familiar sandbox tropes, collecting doodahs, solving mild platforming puzzles, riding from place to place on a horse, and so forth. But even though the game is broad, it's still admirably deep, with plenty of ways to customize your character. It's also got a thoroughly decent story about honor, duty, and sacrifice, all fitting themes for a samurai narrative. Number 6. God of War. After a 5-year hiatus, the God of War series is back, and it's very different. Kratos, formerly a living ball of rage, is now a family man, trying to balance his decidal past with his devotion to his adolescent son, Atreus. Leaving Greece behind, Kratos now occupies Scandinavia, and that means, among other things, that there's a whole new host of mythical beasts to slay. From trolls and ogres to undead horrors and even Norse gods, Kratos' new enemies put his skills to the test constantly. While the story questions whether Kratos' violent past was fully justified, the gameplay is as satisfying and visceral as ever, pitting the demigod against all manner of trolls, sea monsters, and dragons. It's a bold new direction for a beloved series and easily one of the best PS4 games you can buy. Number 7. Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn has it all: an interesting open world, a creative story, a relatable protagonist, a variety of challenges, and, of course, a whole host of giant robot dinosaurs. You'll be able to topple these massive beasts, as well as a variety of human enemies with a bow and arrow and plenty of other melees and ranged weapons. Set in a post-apocalyptic world that has had time to become lush once again, Horizon Zero Dawn tells the story of Aloy, a pariah from her tribe who nevertheless becomes a master of the bow and spear. As she explores the dangerous world around her, she learns that she may play a pivotal role in changing it for the better. It's one of the best PS4 games that's exclusive to the system, although it's now available to play on PC as well. Number 8. The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2 is an ambitious sequel to a beloved game. As such, it was always going to be divisive, and that's probably just what the developers intended. In this post-apocalyptic action-adventure game, you take control of Ellie, who embarks on an epic quest for revenge across the remnants of the western United States. Grown up and elevated from sidekick to protagonist status, Ellie has to rely on her own skills and decide when, or if, revenge slips past necessity and into obsession. The story in The Last of Us 2 has quite a few exciting twists and turns, but the gameplay supports it beautifully. With lots of ways to customize and upgrade Ellie, and a bevy of options for stealth, combat, and exploration, The Last of Us 2 makes use of high, creative levels and intelligent enemies of both the human and infected varieties. With gorgeous graphics and moving voice acting, it's not hard to see why The Last of Us 2 is one of the best PS4 games you can buy. Number 9. Mortal Kombat 11. Mortal Kombat has had its ups and downs over the years, but Mortal Kombat 11 demonstrates that the series still has plenty of surprises to offer. In addition to a solid story mode and tons of unlockable single-player content, Mortal Kombat 11 offers refined, strategic one-on-one fights. Instead of testing who's memorized the most super moves or how quickly players can mash an attack button, this game prioritizes distance, variety, and judicious application of limited super moves. Of course, Mortal Kombat's hallmark gore is back in full force with some highly over-the-top fatalities sure to test even the most hardened stomachs. This may be a selling point or a deal breaker, depending on your tolerance, but it's good to know that the series hasn't toned itself down over the years. Overall, MK11 is simply an excellent fighting game with a little something for everyone. Number 10. The Outer Worlds. For those who pine for the days of Fallout New Vegas and the Mass Effect trilogy, there's Outer Worlds. This first-person RPG casts you as a colonist in the Halcyon solar system, pitted against a handful of powerful corporations that will do absolutely anything to maximize profits, no matter who suffers along the way. With action-packed gameplay, tons of options to resolve quests non-violently, a great cast of party members, and a story that reacts profoundly to the choices you make, The Outer Worlds is one of the best games of its type in years. One thing that separates The Outer Worlds from similar titles is that your party members aren't just there to help in battle. You can customize your character to fall back on their abilities both in and out of combat. Various skills and perks.